In this video, I am training shock, latch, and stab from the Medusa Edged Weapons System. This formula is used in many combative systems. I use it a lot. In most combative terminology, this is preemptive strike and attach and continue aggression until the target is no longer a threat. Now, this doesn't mean that we have to go to our knife. If we can manage to strike our way out of the problem by putting them down, or we can overwhelming our would-be attacker with our violent counterattack. Now, when I say counterattack, don't get me wrong. We want to counterattack while he is still preparing to attack us. We want to counterattack before he attacks. This doesn't mean that we're hitting someone who's not going to attack. This means we have to understand pre-attack cues and know when it is time to attack. This doesn't mean we have to go to the part where we use the knife. If we use the knife in the wrong situation, we now become the criminal. So you have to understand, if you're going to practice the Medusa system, use of force laws. I say this all the time. I will repeat it every time, and I will never stop repeating this message, because if you are going to train dangerous and horrific techniques, you need to understand that there are not many places where these techniques are appropriate techniques. But as I've said before, the other side of this is, if you understand that this type of attack can happen to you, you can work to train to defend against this kind of violent aggression. Pads and training dummies and heavy bags are absolutely excellent training equipment. You need to be hitting things. You need to practice hitting things. You need to practice striking with power. And the knife is secondary to those empty hand skills. On top of these preemptive striking skills, these gross motor skills, I suggest that everyone develops basic pugilistic skills, boxing skills, clinching skills, and other grappling skills. You should not be knife dependent. You should not be weapon dependent. This is a very dangerous way to train. If you are dependent on a weapon, then it gives you only one use of force option, and the most rare and extreme use of force option that you could possibly have. You need to be able to use multiple uses of force. You can't just go extreme. You need to be able to deal with passive resistance and lower level threats as well. And if you treat everything as a high level threat, you may get yourself in a legal pickle. Anyway, I believe the Medusa system is the most realistic tactics on using edged weapons against another human being. The thing I love the most about it is that we draw the knife. We're not training for speed draws, of course. We are simply training to be able to access our weapons while using force against a would-be attacker. I believe the Medusa system is a great base for knife fighting tactics, but you also have to be adaptable. You also need to train other systems, such as Filipino martial arts, if you believe there is a possibility that you may go knife against knife. If you carry a knife and you are training to counter edged weapons, you should train to fight knife against knife, because if you carry a knife, that is a possibility for you to get into that scenario. I also use this Medusa system to base my empty hand against knife training. You may notice that I drop my knife a couple times in this training sequence. The Medusa system is very adaptable for that kind of thing, because you're already using force. So if you lose your knife, you can adapt to another weapon or just keep using your empty hands. The most important thing I've gotten from the Medusa Edged Weapons System is to say fuck the art and just get the job done. There's so much. It has completely changed how I approach knife, combatives, and martial arts.